Welcome to Unobscured, where I talk about games people hopefully haven't heard of. Viking, Battle for Asgard was released on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 on March 25th, 2008 to middle-of-the-road critical review. Critics praise its satisfying, well-rounded hack-and-slash gameplay while panning it for the main character's slow pace and lackluster implementation of RPG elements. A divisive element to the game was its simplicity. Some praised the gameplay for being easy to pick up, while others disliked it for becoming too stale too soon. Like that piece of bread in my window I've been spraying with water for a week. Releasing in Q1 of 2008, it was an early release for the 360 and even earlier for the PS3. I'll be playing the 360 for this video. The only heavy hitters released nearby Viking were Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, which I would cry if a remake of was announced, and Eminem's Kart Racing for the DS. Yeah, pretty stale week. However, being released in the same year as Goliath, like Grand Theft Auto 4, Fallout 3, and Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and fucking Eminem's Kart Racing. God damn, man. It's easy to see why was forgotten and swept aside in the landscape of the 7th generation. Vibi FIFA was developed by Creative Assembly, the studio behind a whole bunch of fucking RTS games, and Alien Isolation, which I will never play because I'm a little sissy boozy boy. And it was published by Sega, a company I've never heard of in my life. I found the game at a local game store one day, looked at it and said, damn, I have no fucking idea what this is, but it is shiny as hell, so I bought it, and here we are. The game starts abruptly with you dying on the battlefield against the forces of Hell, the goddess, not the place, when Freya says, no, not on my watch, and she unmercs you, all like, hey, you did good before you got nay-nayed, so here, you're my chosen one now, go fucking wild, to which you respond, because that's right, ladies and gents, we are playing a silent protagonist, whose only languages are kick-assery and pectorals. Right off the bat, the movement feels strange and sluggish. It takes a second to get moving, but then once you do, the character moves one step at a time, as in the forward movement isn't a smooth acceleration, but it speeds up and slows down constantly. It's not much, and in the thick of gameplay you'll hardly notice it, but it does take a bit to get used to. Also, you jump with the Y button for some reason. The game displays important information strangely as well. The radar is about as useful as a rock with a couple of stickers on it. Quick tips show up at the bottom left with no fanfare, and you don't know an enemy is dead until they actually are. Granted, right before that, you will knock them into a stun state, which lets you execute them like Kratos in Mortal Kombat or something like that, but these fatalities feel soft and awkward. Just watch this. Like, I feel like these are just missing a sound effect or two, or like some kind of fanfare in the back, but no, it's just... Combat feels kind of awkward. You have a heavy and a light attack, and by the animations alone you couldn't tell which was which if you had a microscope, unless they hit something. When they do hit, they feel nice, but they lock you into the animation whenever you try and slap a bitch, which leads to big battles feeling more like a game of really fucked up red light, green light at the weird kid's birthday party, where you're the only one playing by the rules and everyone else is just beating you up, and actually nobody's playing red light, green light. You just got the address wrong off the invitation, and... Sorry, I started projecting again. As I was saying, combat and attacks feel jank. Maybe I'm spoiled by games with really good combat like... What? Eminem's Kart Racing? No. Spider-Man and other games of that type. It's obvious they were doing their best. It does feel nice when you do wreck shit, but it's too clunky for that to be often. They try to spice up gameplay with elemental effects and spells that you can upgrade at shops and activate with the right trigger, but the fire attack feels like it does nothing, and it tanks the frame rate in large fights. The ice attack is just so overpowered it makes me feel bad for using it, and the thunder attack is just kind of there. The main gameplay objective is to free captured Vikings and lead them in charges against enemy settlements, so if you ask me, they were working towards these large-scale battle scenarios being the main draw to the game. They're so few and far between though that everything else feels like Olaf over here is running around with his ult on cooldown and his feet cut off. Don't get me wrong, the all-out assaults on enemy strongholds feel great to win and are easily the most enjoyable parts of the game, but the build-up to them is just so painfully... The world feels empty. If you're lucky, in between major areas, you'll find a goon or two, but other than that, it's mud trudging until you reach your destination. This isn't helped by a general lack of background music. Legit, it would be 5 times as bearable waddling across forests and fields if there was literally any fanfare to it. Instead, I have to trudge through empty areas to the sound of my footsteps at a snail's pace. The game as a whole has little to no background accompaniment. During most fights, all I heard was the meaty thwack of axe on skull. It may have been there during a large fight or two, but with how generic and unimpressive it is, it felt like it just wasn't there at all. But, you know, despite my griping, sorry I do that a lot, the game is still enjoyable. The combat, while clunkier than, something which happens to be disproportionately clunky, feels nice when executed, and the feeling of sneaking into an enemy base, taking out a couple of guards, and freeing the homies so you can take the place from the inside is pretty unforgettable. The game reeks of unpolishedness, but sometimes Finding the diamond in the rough is the best part. Viking Battle for Asgard is a hidden gem. Thanks for stopping by Pershon's Place. If you like this, subscribe, hit the bell, and like the video. Give me suggestions for more games down below. Bye-bye.